Hello everyone. In the last lectures, we learned about storing different kinds of data in different formats. Hence, if you are not updated about that yet, click on the links in the description below to be on the same track. Moving on, let me picture your scenario. Well, let's say I have an algorithm which provides me a revenue generated in my company at a daily basis. Now, I implement a strategy every month approximately. So, to check if that strategy works fine for me, I have set my lower limit of the revenue at 2000 rupees per day. Now I want to know if my revenue reaches around 2000 rupees until the end of the day. If not, I can change the strategy. For this kind of use cases, we can implement conditional statements. So this lecture will be revolving all around it. Right. So let's say for considering the revenue, I have used a function of numpy, random and random int, which provides me a number between 10,000 and 1000. Right. Now if I run this, let's say I've got a value of 8,143 rupees. Now, don't worry about this random function. We'll go in great detail going forward when we learn about pandas, numpy, and many more. So, this generated number is my revenue per day, let's say. To check if the revenue gets lower than 2000 rupees, I'll write the loop like this. So, the basic syntax of loop looks something like this, which says this is my condition, which in this case is if my revenue is less than 2000 rupees, the statement which I want to run, if the statement gets true or if my revenue is less than 2000, I'll put it over here. A few important things to note about if statements are: firstly, the colon right after the condition is very significant and required. Now it separates the header of the compound statement from the body. Second, the line after the colon must be indented, right? Over here, even here. So it is standard in Python to use four spaces, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can just use a tab. So this basically helps Python to understand the statements to run after the conditions. Third, all lines indented the same amount after the colon will be executed whenever the boolean expression is true. Right. So consider this now, where I have written if my revenue gets less than 2000 rupees, inform me by printing a statement which I have provided saying the revenue has decreased. Right. Here the boolean expression after the if statement is called the condition. If it is true, then all the indented statements get executed. Now, what happens if the condition is false? Let's say my revenue is greater than 2000 rupees. In a simple if statement like this, nothing happens and the program continues on to the next statement, which in this case, we don't have any next statement. So it won't print anything, right? So, see, after printing revenue, it won't print anything. Whereas if I get at a point revenue less than 2000 rupees, it will just print the block inside that particular if statement. Now the indented statements that follow are called a block. The first unindented statement marks the end of the block. So let's say I'll just uncomment this. This is the same indentation, or let's say unindented statement. This will always print irrespective of whatever the condition is, if it is true or false. You see, irrespective of it is true or false, it will always print. Right. So this is what basically if statement is all about. Its flowchart looks something like this, where you pass on to the condition, and if it is true, the statements that are written inside it will be executed, or else nothing. Right. This is a basic. This is a very basic example of it. You can just try it at your end. Right. If I change this to coding, it will just print it. Now let's say I also want to know even when my revenue is greater than or equal to 2000 rupees. So this is done basically by if else statement. So technically speaking now, the case that you want one thing to happen when a condition is true and something else to happen when it is false. For that, we have the if else statements. Here, the first print statement will execute if revenue is less than 2000 rupees is my first condition, and another print statement indented under the else clause will get executed when it is not. See, like this 9174, it just printed me the else block since it is greater than 2000 rupees, right? So it's basic flowchart of the if else statement, and the syntax looks something like this. So each statement inside the if block of an if else statement is executed in order if the boolean expression evaluates to true, right? The entire block of statements is skipped if the boolean expression evaluates to false, and instead all the statements under the else clause are executed. Now, there's no limit on the number of statements, however, that can appear under the two clauses of an if else statement, but there has to be at least one statement in each block. So occasionally, it is usually to have a section with no statements. Let's say a placekeeper or a scaffolding or code you haven't written yet. So in that case, you can use the pass statement in this case, which does nothing except as a placeholder. So if you run this, it won't return anything since you have written something, but you don't know that which part you have to do, if it is true or if it is false. So I'll just write it as a pass. So another example of it is something like this. So it just returned me as it matches the value of channel variable, the if block, whereas I write this, it will just print me or return me the else block, right? Now sometimes there can be more than two possibilities and we need more than two branches, let's say. So one way to express a computation like that is a chained conditional or multiple conditions. So in our use case, let's say I'll say if it is doing exceptionally well, my revenue is doing exceptionally well. I want to know so that I can continue the same strategy for more than 1 month. Hence, I'll give an upper limit of let's say 8,000 rupees for that. For that, I'll write my revenue is less than 2,000 rupees and else if revenue is greater than 8,000 rupees, right? So let's say I also print the value of revenue so that you'll understand it better. So my revenue value is 9174 and it just went into this loop. Right before that, just look at its flow chart. It looks like this. So let's say I have two numbers x and y. If y is greater than x, which is true, or let's say if there is any other condition, if it is true, statement A is being executed, it will reach at the end of the loop. Whereas if it is false, it will check for another condition. If it is true, it will just return the statement B and just reach at the end of the loop. Whereas if it is again false, it will just execute the third statement, which is statement C. Now, coming back up, elif is an abbreviation of else if. Again, exactly one branch will be executed. There is no limit of the number of elif statements, but only a single and optional final else statement is allowed, and it must be the last branch in the statement. You cannot put else below elif, right? So each condition is checked in order. Let's say if the first is false, right, the next is checked, and so on. If one of them is true, the corresponding branch executes and the statement ends. Even if more than one condition is true, only the first two branch executes, right? So let's say in this case, I have just assigned a value 202 and I'm just checking the remainder of it. So in this case, as I said, 202, the remainder when divided by 2 will be 0, whereas the remainder when divided by 4 will also be 0. But since this condition is written first, it will always return the value inside the block of if statement and not this elif statement. Also, else statement is optional. You can write or you cannot write. It's on you. Right. Now one conditional can also be nested within each other. It is the same theme of composability again. We could have written the previous example as follows. So let's the outer conditional contains two branches. The second branch contains another if statement which has two branches of its own. Okay, so let me explain you by this example. Okay, so here in this case, let's consider a condition as if it is less than 2000 rupees. So let's say if it is true, I'll just state that the revenue is very low. Whereas if it is false, it will again check whether if the revenue is very good or it is average. So I'll just check with the upper limit if it is greater than 8000 or not. So if it is true, it will just return me that the strategy is working very good. Just continue it for more than 1 month, or else it will say, yeah, it is doing pretty good. Correct. So this is all about it. When writing over it in the coding wise, this is what the syntax looks like. So although the indentation of statements make the structure apparent, nested conditional very quickly become difficult to read. So it is in general talking, it is a good idea to avoid them when you can. So you see, logical operators often provide a way to simplify nested conditional statements. For example, we can rewrite the following code using a single condition, as we saw about, right? So just so you know, I can also add calculations directly in front of this if conditions. Let's say I can just write that we use revenue, which was my np dot random rand int. I can just write 1000 to 10,000 is less than 20, sorry, 22,000. I'll make it. I'll just write it is good. See, so this is how you can also write it. This will just save you the space of assigning it to a variable, but it is not much more readable. So it is preferred that you assign it first in the variable and then use it in the condition, right? So I guess this is all about conditional statements. Now I'll be attaching this ipynb file again, given in the link below. So stay tuned for iterative loops like for loops, while loops in the upcoming lectures. And thank you for watching again. Have a good day.